Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. Today I'm going to be doing a top speed and acceleration test with the Nami Superstellar. Now if you're not familiar with this scooter, it is a full suspension, dual motor, performance oriented electric scooter designed to maximize portability yet give you the punch that you might need on your daily commute. Now over the last several months I've published a handful of videos on the Superstellar, including my first impressions ride, and I'll be sure to include those in the description below. But during that first impressions ride, I did do a top speed and acceleration test. Unfortunately, I couldn't test it out in turbo mode, which is the max speed mode on this scooter. And the reason why is when I got the scooter, there was an issue with the control pad that prevented me from getting into the P settings menu, or the advanced settings menu, but that has long since been resolved, and I've finally gotten around to testing out top speed and acceleration in turbo mode. So what I'm going to do today is show you how this scooter performs with turbo mode off. Then I'm going to show you how to enable turbo mode on the Superstellar, and then we're going to go ahead and see how this scooter performs with turbo mode enabled. And of course, at the end of it, I'll show you how this scooter compares to some other dual motor scooters that I've tested on this channel. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our testing with turbo mode off. Now before we jump into our testing, if you're curious what's powering this scooter, it does come with two 1000 nominal watt motors. Now this is a 52 volt scooter which fully charges 58.8 volts, and it's also got dual 25 amp controllers. And so if we take our 58.8 volts times the 25 amps, that comes out to 1470 peak watts of power per motor, which makes for a combined 2940 peak watts of power. And folks, that is a lot of power for a scooter this size. In terms of the battery on board, it does come equipped with a 52 volt 25 amp hour battery, which is good for 1300 watt hours of capacity. And I'll tell you right now, this scooter literally goes the distance when it comes to range. Check out that range test video in the description below. All right, now we can jump into our testing. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is a speed and acceleration test with this Nami Superstellar. I will be using the Draggy GPS performance monitor, which is essentially a GPS unit mounted to the top of my helmet, which interfaces with the Draggy app. And I've got us in speed mode 3 with turbo disabled. And we're going to go ahead and start that speed test in 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh, acceleration is definitely intense off the line. All right, display shows 32 miles an hour. We'll keep going. And it looks like 32. And let's see how we did. All right, so here's the data for this run. 0 to 10, 1.69 seconds. 0 to 15, 2.66. 0 to 20, 4.11. 0 to 25, 6.02. 0 to 30, 8.5. 0 to 32, 15.48 seconds. So what I'll go ahead and do is get us turned around and we'll do the same thing in the other direction. All right, we're gonna start our test in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, you gotta be careful with that throttle. This thing will literally lift up on you. Here we go. Display showing 30. We'll keep going. 32. All right, there we go. We'll go ahead and bleed off this speed. Brakes are very effective on this scooter, by the way. And let's see how we did. All right, so on this particular run, 0 to 10, 1.77 seconds, 0 to 15, 2.84, 0 to 20, 4.13, 0 to 25, 6.08, 0 to 30, 10.06, and finally 0 to 32 in 16.2 seconds. So as you can see from that test, we were able to hit a top speed of 32 miles an hour in 15.84 seconds, which puts it behind scooters like the Awesome L2 Max, as well as the Awesome Leopard DT1 Pro, and just ahead of scooters like the Punk Rider Pro, as well as the Apollo City Pro. One thing to mention about this scooter is that it is very torquey, so if you're going to be going full throttle right off the line, be sure to get your weight forward and get a good grip on that scooter because those front and rear wheels will spin on you. Alright, so now that we know how the Superstellar performs with turbo mode off, let's go ahead and turn that feature on and see how top speed and acceleration differ. One of the things that I really like about this Superstellar is the fact that it gives you the ability to go into an advanced settings menu to completely tailor the ride to your liking. Now, as you can see right now, we are on the home screen. If we want to go into the advanced settings menu, you'll go over to your control pad. Mine probably looks a little bit different than yours because I actually upgraded mine to one that I prefer. I actually had an issue with the one that came out of the box, so I swapped it with this. But either way, the button layout's exactly the same. You're going to double press the M button. That's going to take you into the P settings menu. Now, this first menu, if you hit the plus and minus button on the control pad here, it's going to take you all the way up, I think, to P9, and that's your basic settings. I will be making a dedicated video on all the settings for this scooter, so stay tuned for that. I'm not going to go over all these right now. What we want to focus on is P1. P1 is going to be your gateway into the secondary settings menu. And right now, we are making changes to speed mode 3. If I wanted to make custom settings to speed mode 2 or 1, I can absolutely do that. But for turbo mode, I'm going to be doing this in 3. I'll hit the M button to select that. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is double click M again, and this is going to take me into another menu. This is the P1 menu, and this is P1 setting 1. We're going to go ahead and hit the plus button here until we get to P7. This is our turbo mode. Now, turbo mode, the default value is 0 or off. It actually allows you to set turbo mode up to level 5. Level 5 giving you 12% more top speed. So from 32 miles an hour up to 35 miles an hour. So to change that, I'm going to hit the M button here, and then I'm going to hit the plus button until I get to 5. And there we go. We are at 5. I'm going to hit M again to save. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the power button. And that's going to take me back to our home screen. I don't know how well you're going to see this on camera, but there's a little blue icon there. That means turbo mode is enabled and ready for you to turn on when you like. So with the Nami Stellar, Super Stellar, you have to be riding at 10 kilometers an hour or faster in order to enable this mode. And when you are traveling at that speed or faster, you're just going to hold down this plus button, and you're going to see another icon appear on the screen. There you go. It's this on button. That means that turbo mode is on, and you now have access to the full power of the scooter all the way up to 35 miles an hour. And so once you have that on, it'll stay on, so you can come to a complete stop and then speed up again if you want all the way up to 35 miles an hour, assuming that the battery controller and motors are healthy enough to run that at that point in time. If you want to turn turbo mode off, you just press and hold the plus button and you'll see on disappear. And turbo mode is off, and you now have that top speed of 32 miles an hour. So now that you know how to turn this on, let's go ahead and see what the performance looks like with turbo on. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start test 1 in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, I'm seeing 36 on the screen, 37. All right, gonna go ahead and slow down. All right, folks, so there you have it. That was test 1 with the Nami Super Stellar. We went 0 to 10, 2.12 seconds, 0 to 15, 2.99 seconds, 0 to 20, 4.37 seconds, 0 to 25, 6.19 seconds. We hit 30 miles an hour in 9.05 seconds, and we hit a top advertised speed of 35 miles an hour in 15.17 seconds. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get this reset, and we're going to do the same test, but in the other direction. All right, folks, starting test 2 in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, you got to watch out. Peel out these tires. Here we go. Seeing 38 on the screen. We're going to keep going. Super stable ride. All right, we'll go ahead and slow it down. See how we did. So for round 2, 0 to 10, 1.88 seconds. 0 to 15, 2.78 seconds. 0 to 20, 4.08 seconds. 0 to 25, 5.78 seconds. 30 miles an hour, 8.14 seconds, and we once again hit a top advertised speed of 35 miles an hour in 12.93 seconds. So as you can see, with turbo mode enabled, the Super Stellar is able to get to its advertised top speed of 35 miles an hour, and it's able to do it in 14.05 seconds. And looking at how that compares to some of its competitors, it's outperforming the Awesome Leopard DT1 Pro, the Awesome L2 Max dual motor version, the Apollo City Pro, as well as the Punk Rider Pro. And it's not just top speed and acceleration that you get with this scooter, you also get lots of torque, really good hill climbability, and by good I mean this thing blew my extreme hill climb test as well as endurance hill climb test out of the water. I'll link those videos in the description below. But you also get a very plush ride. You know, this scooter has coil spring suspension with rubber dampening. It doesn't have hydraulic suspension, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't miss a beat. The suspension itself is very plush, probably the best implementation of coil springs on a scooter that I've seen to date. So let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns. Happy to address those. And if you do want to watch some of those other videos that I created, I will link those in the description below. And if you want to pick up one of these scooters, I will include a link to Wired Rides as well as any available coupons. And if you use that to make your purchase, it absolutely helps support this channel and keeps the wheels moving on future reviews. As always, thank you so much for tuning into Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.